Gang, gang, hey, nothing but love and respect. You might have some cool fans, but mine are the best. We've been through it all, went to war when duty called. Never left a man behind, we move as one is super strong. I don't want followers, that implies I'm the leader. I'm not the captain, I just gave them something they can believe in. I hold the lamp in the darkness, but they're the light that I needed to see the road that we walk in between the angels and demons. And my fans have my back. Hate us if your feelings don't like facts. And my fans will fight back. Beat you with the keyboard you've been using to write back. I guess we need each other like both sides of the battery. We the army, we the homies, we the gang, we the cavalry. We're brothers and sisters, we hold it down like we gravity. Can't nobody break the bond that made us all family.
Me and my fans, we don't care what anybody say. Middle fingers to whoever in the way, man. Me and my fans, we gon' be together to the grave. It's a game till forever and a day, man. Me and my fans, we don't even trip if they hate. We got all in our veins, man. Me and my fans,
We the hangover gang. Gang, 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 gang.
Oklahoma weather can dish out some of the worst punishment in the world. Hi everyone, I'm meteorologist Tuttle. But now you can fight back by installing Class 4 impact-resistant shingles from Ferguson Roof Systems. These shingles can withstand large hail, heavy rain, and hurricane-force winds, all while keeping your home safe and dry. And the best part? This upgrade is completely free for many homeowners. So call today to start reaping the benefits these Class 4 shingles bring, including a discount on home insurance. Only at FergusonRoofSystems.com.
Hey everyone, meteorologist Tuttle back with you here. It's about 1:15 noon. So your lunchtime live update for your Tuesday as we talk about a storm system coming our way later on into this evening, and we'll see if it still contains some of the nastiness, which will be some damaging wind, large hail, and yeah, maybe even a couple of tornadoes. So come to the right place. We're going to talk about the science behind it and get you accustomed to the timeline and who's going to see what, when, and where. So thanks for joining me, and please like and share this video. Pass it along to your friends and family. Let them know they've got another alternative to see some good weather information here into Oklahoma, and without all the fear tactics, the gloom, the doom, the we're all going to perish mentality. I'm so over that stuff, right? I'm sure you are too. Out there right now, you wouldn't think it'd be severe weather season. I mean, look at this. On my Tempest weather station, it's 67 degrees here in the backyard. I mean, goodness. It is chilly. This is typical October, by the way. This is the way it should be out there. So, yeah, we're going to see some changes here coming up. The first thing I want to do before we get into that is I'm going to post a link. I'm going to do it right here live so you can watch it. This is on the Facebook page here. So click that link, and when you do, you can get live notifications directly from me via your Facebook Messenger. So if you're having trouble getting those from Facebook, this will help you out. And when you do, it'll pop up a little bot message here for you, which says, hey, looks like you want to get notifications about live updates. You said, I sure do. So you can click the watch broadcast, which will take you to where we are right now. Or you can hit manage, well, I don't say or, and it really is an and. I put the word and in there. You have to hit this word manage messages. Why? Because that sets you up for the next one. So I hit that button, manage messages. It says, yes, keep my updates. So I click that button, and it'll ask you one more time, are you sure? And I say, yep, notify me. Done. That's it. That's all you got to do. But each time you get a notification from me, you have to redo this every time. It's kind of like re-opting in so that Facebook knows that you want to hear from me, and it's not some kind of spam thing. So it's a workaround for their system for right now. But so if you're having trouble and you want to know when I do go live, click that magic button and you'll be good to go. Okay, so that is done. Let's go on to the next. We do have some clouds rolling through out there in case you haven't noticed. Kind of dreary here in Oklahoma City. Other parts are seeing some sun though down across southern Oklahoma. So we'll have kind of a mixture of clouds and sunshine here for today as moisture is returning back from Texas and working its way on up to the north. And as that does so, we're going to be seeing some interesting. Let me reload this, by the way. That just did not want to work for me anymore. It's my little arrow that I like to use to draw with. So if it doesn't work, it doesn't help me, right? So let's get that back up here. All right. Dun, 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 dun. Hold on 2 seconds. All right. Oh, sometimes computers are weird. You have to do things in a certain order or they don't play nice. Anyway, okay, so now we got the arrow going. So all the moisture is coming in from Texas, crossing Red River, back in Oklahoma. It will be kind of focused out here across the western third of the state for later this afternoon along a dry line. That'll help set stage for some good weather. So if we look at the latest on this, Like I said, dew point values are in the low 60s here across central Oklahoma, 50s to the northeast. That means drier air. It feels much better out there in northeast Oklahoma. In western southwest Oklahoma, though, it's in the upper 60s. So we're getting some better moisture return out here in this part of the state, which is what you need for severe weather and for thunderstorms, right? Now, this is continuing to come in from Texas. So the dew points will look down south into the green numbers here. We're looking at the 60s, 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 60s. So, and then some 70s once you get south of Dallas coming on in northward. So there are some 70 dew points, which is really what you need. Anything in the 60s to low 70s is good for severe weather criteria and sometimes tornado genesis. But there is a caveat to this. We call this moisture ankle deep. So if you look at the forecast, or excuse me, the actual soundings, balloon soundings from the National Weather Service, it shows this moisture is only about, oh good grief, a couple hundred meters thick, deep, in other words, from the surface on up. So that's pretty shallow. And a lot of times when you see that air will mix out. If we look way down south here, Corpus Christi, we're up to maybe 500 meters. That's still pretty shallow considering, and a lot of that will mix out. So that is a limiting factor, just so you know, for storms today as far as the severity. You really need that good deep moisture. If we're lacking that department, that helps to reduce the magnitude a little bit. So that's some good news I have for you. Here's a look at the severe weather potential, though, for today from the National Weather Service. Tornado potential is low to baseball size. Hail up to, keep that in mind. This not means everybody, it means very few will see this size. Most of us will be down here to quarters, maybe a few of us in the golf balls, but this is going to be rare. And then maximum wind anywhere from 60 to 80 miles per hour and some of the strongest thunderstorms. Otherwise, that is not a widespread deal. Tornado potential here, it's got all of western half of Oklahoma in the green for low, and then very low once you get east of I-35. Again, I-35 is a corridor of where the magic ends for tornadoes environment here for tonight. We talked about that last night. We'll recap it here again for you for lunch. 6 to 10 is the timing out here in western Oklahoma. So by the time you head toward the Clinton hour, you're kind of in the end of that 10 o'clock window. So it'll be a slow mover in the broad sense of terms, and then back here to Oklahoma City, probably closer to midnight, depending on how exactly things start and when and where. But that's a rough general guideline as far as your timeline goes. If you do live in eastern Oklahoma, same idea. You've got some severe storms approach you, probably west of Tulsa. They should weaken quite dramatically overnight into the early morning hours, which is about the time this thing will hit. And we'll show you the timeline of that here in a second. Storm Prediction Center, again, there's the big risk painted out there across a large area of the central and southern plains. So it's a pretty good storm system. The tornado shading also continues on in southwestern Kansas and back in here into northwestern Texas, just west of Dallas. The wind is in the red, meaning some damaging wind. That extends about the same area the tornado risk did. And the hail, they like the little hail size corridor for the largest potential up here in northwest Oklahoma, southwest Kansas. You can see that's not including Oklahoma City. So that's a little small pocket where they think the best ingredients are for that type of scenario. All right, so let me look at a couple things here. First, I want to do, I just closed something. What did I just close? I don't know, reopen that. There we go. Because I might want that. It turns out I do want that. Get back over here. All right. So let's see. We are on the dew point. Let's do dew point first. So dew point first is that measured moisture returning. That's the 70s in purple. Now watch what happens when that 70s starts to shoot in Oklahoma for the afternoon. Up to here about the 7 o'clock. We do have the very thin corridor, and it starts to mix out here. So the purple goes away. It's the air mixing once it gets into western Oklahoma, which is typical for late in the day. And then eventually that 70s keeps surging southward here into west central Oklahoma during the late evening hours. So when you have the thunderstorms that do fire, they need to be on this moisture axis. We call this the instability and moisture combined, the theta E axis. And this is the theta E axis, and it's centered here over western Oklahoma through 6 o'clock. So it's kind of a triangle looking thing, right? Kind of comes in like this. So everything's kind of focused on this point from Texas and Oklahoma. So the storms like to be in this environment on this axis. Once they get east of this axis, in other words, they get into this region, they fall apart because they're off all the good juicy ingredients. Well, they just happens to be right here over Oklahoma City. So the good news is still the models indicate that there will be a hard line in the sand. So Oklahoma County is this little square right here, and you can see a hard line in the sand, east from west. The west still got the juice, the east side no juice. So it should mean that storms will weaken as we hit the midnight hour, as they get off this theta E axis and then kind of go into more stable and drier air mass. All right, so that's kind of a key importance. So we have, again, the shallow moisture, and we have this theta E axis. So both of those will be limiting factors for central Oklahoma as far as magnitude of severe weather, which means most of this will be kind of anchored out here to our west. Now, we do look at how storms ought to fire today. Here's 6 o'clock in the afternoon. They'll be firing along a dry line, which will be poised out here in east central Texas panhandle. And those will help to trigger these showers and storms by the time we head to 7 o'clock. And those will begin to cross over into Oklahoma. So we'll be watching those here for you. I'll probably be doing live updates. They do expect a couple of these to try to produce a tornado. So there'll be 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. You see, this is a late show. 11 o'clock, good grief, midnight hour, come on, man. Can these things not come in any sooner? So there's 10 o'clock, or excuse me, 12 o'clock in the morning, and then midnight, in other words, there's 1 a.m. I'm already tired thinking about it. Here's 2 o'clock in the morning. Now, you do notice this first batch of storms moves to the north and east, and a new batch develops down here in southwest Oklahoma that moves into the Oklahoma City metro area by 2 o'clock in the morning. There's 3. And then et cetera, et cetera. There's 4, 5 o'clock for you guys up there in Tulsa. This line of storms is not even nearly the strength that it was prior around the I-35 corridor. And then it's 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock on Wednesday morning. So we still have some rain lingering here, by the way, in Oklahoma City as the storm system wraps up on top of us. It's an upper level low that's going to kind of slowly move through. So there's Wednesday at noon. You can still see it's raining in eastern Oklahoma. There's Wednesday in the afternoon. Guess what? More showers and thunderstorms out there in eastern Oklahoma. A couple of these could be severe. Might produce a tornado, especially down here in southeastern Oklahoma, near the Arkansas border, and if you guys out in Arkansas. Otherwise, looks like there's 5 o'clock, still kind of wet up there in northeast Oklahoma for a while. So Wednesday, with some wraparound showers, still looks to be cloudy and a little damp for at least the eastern half of the state before this upper low finally pushes far enough away from us. Now, that is not the only outcome on the table. The HRRR model is going to be showing us a different view. It doesn't really fire anything off in western Oklahoma. Why? Because it thinks the cap holds. And that's actually not a bad forecast. We have a strong cap in place out there in western Oklahoma, so the dry line may not go, especially with that moisture mixing out. So that is definitely on the table. I can go either way with this. I like both outputs, honestly. And unfortunately, we'll never know until we can get better sounding distribution. And that's probably not going to happen until we get some drone action going. That takes money, but that is in the works, so we'll see what happens in time. But meanwhile, here's a look at the evening hours. This is 10 o'clock, so you do see those storms in southwest Oklahoma do erupt, and those do move in Oklahoma City by the time we head to midnight. So it's a little faster here in Oklahoma City, and that rolls through I-35 at that midnight to 1 a.m. time zone here and into 2 o'clock in the morning. It starts to move east of I-35, but you can see it's a slow mover. So it's going to be a lot of rain, good rainfall for us. And that's in the Tulsa area, again, as we head to the 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning time frame, and that just kind of keeps on going, but it does get weaker with time. So this is a little different look at the futurecast for the radar, and I like it too, honestly. Now, as far as the wind potential within this, you're always going to have the exception to the rule where you get a storm that gets a little carried away, right? Otherwise, and that will be providing winds anywhere from 50 to 60 that the models are indicating. There's a one spot there, it's up around 65. So there will be some pockets here where the winds do get a little strong with some of those stronger thunderstorms, but it's not a widespread 60 to 80 like we talked about earlier. However, the next day, it's going to be even windier. So on Wednesday, as that system pulls away, we get the wraparound north winds from it. And these winds are gusting up to around 50 miles an hour, a widespread. So it's actually going to be overall windier as the system moves away on Wednesday than it will be with some of the storms in here for tonight. All right, and then hail sizes. Most of the model data continues to suggest about an inch to maybe an inch and a half is the common hail size for the bigger storms. You're always going to have the freak storm that does produce the monster hail in that type of environment. And your temperatures over the next few days, we're looking at 60s for a while. There's going to be some temperatures, though, in the early next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, on the 2nd and 3rd. A strong cold front comes in. There's an upper-level low-pressure system we talked about last night that may try to kind of come overhead at that time, or at least give us some energy from it. And the models had hinted off and on a little bit of snow maybe mixed in parts of the state and or just some rain. Still plenty of time to iron out the details on that, but that's what the latest extended looks like, and there could be a little room for movement on some of those numbers at that point in time. But until then, you do see the 50s turning into 40s at nighttime, so that'll shut down whatever's left of the growth of the Bermuda grass. It's no more, so you don't have to mow anymore for this week onward. It's going to be good for you. Get a little break until the spring. In the daytime highs, still pretty decent, but a little chilly, especially in the morning for October. Okay, let's see, what time is it? 11:59. All right, so that is going to be it for me. I've got to run. Sorry, that was a lot to say, a lot to throw in. I'll be around here this evening, so if you have any curiosity about what's happening with the storms out in western Oklahoma, I'll be broadcasting live, and I'll send that to you through the Facebook Messenger if you signed up here today. Also, my weather app, I can send you a message that way. And again, get your live notifications turned on for Facebook and YouTube. And that's where I'll be broadcasting those two platforms with closed captioning. And please like and share. All right. Well, guys, it's been great. Again, thanks for watching and your support and your stars. I see you out there on Facebook, so I appreciate your stars today. And we'll talk about this again a little bit later this evening. All right. See you then.